Well, my first guest tonight is Queensland LNP Senator Gerard Rennick, one of the few voices in Parliament asking questions about the link between vaccines and the so far unexplained increase in excess deaths in Australia. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the total deaths in Australia for the first 6 months of this year was 17% higher than the 5-year average. The indifference the media and government have about these statistics is in stark contrast with the morbid fascination they had during the pandemic for attributing any death they could to the supposedly lethal coronavirus. So we should all be grateful to Senator Rennick for trying to encourage bureaucrats, if not the media and his political peers, to look into these deaths. Here he is asking representatives from the Australian Bureau of Statistics in a Senate committee meeting last week.
Is it possible that you can track those deaths by vaccination status, number one, and then track between the time of death and the time of vaccination?
This is not a trivial question. These are Australian families we're talking about here. If these people died unnecessarily and the sudden spike in excess deaths suggests this is possible, then we should all be worried about it. I'm glad to say that Senator Rennick joins me now. Gerard, welcome.
How are you going, Fred?
Good, good. Gerard, firstly, the ABS's reply to your question in that committee last week was essentially that the vaccination status of every person who dies in Australia is knowable and that they would get back to you about it. How soon can we expect some insight into this?
Look, that's a good question, Fred, and I honestly don't know. Generally, it can take up to quite a few months for the department to get back to you, departments to get back to you when you lodge questions on notice. I wouldn't be surprised if the ABS try and cover this up or find a reason not to disclose it, because I think that there would be a lot of pushback in doing so. But we definitely know that it can be done because, as many of your listeners would well be aware, you couldn't go anywhere without your little green tick in your iPhone. So, and that was all courtesy of the Australian Immunisation Register and Greg Hunt allowing to share vaccinated status with the states so that they could impose their authoritarian, control measures as to where you could go at any time of the day.
Exactly. I mean, they know our status when we're alive. How can they not know our status just because we've passed away?
That's exactly right. And if they were more than happy to, contact trace us, and actually I went to a function on the weekend with someone who works in New South Wales Health and who had had meetings in the same room as Kerry Chant, and she wouldn't rely on, she would never provide the actual information to justify the vaccines, number one, and they only had a very small number of contact tracers actually contact tracing. So you do wonder what the point of all of that green tick was anyway, because, I can only go, that's only anecdotal evidence, but I strongly suspect that, it was virtually impossible to contact trace millions of people, as they went about their everyday lives.
Yeah, definitely. And well, even at one stage, Dominic Perrottet in New South Wales admitted that the contact tracing was just an act to make people feel more safe.